everyone. Welcome to another episode of Speakers on Edge. I'm Jake Ryder, and on today's show, oh my goodness, do we have a guest for you. Her story, I'm not going to tell you much about her story because really, she should be dead. And that's actually the title of her book. Well, almost. Emmilia is an amazing young lady. She has had incredible medical adventures in her life. Today, you're going to hear her story. I have to put a little disclaimer on the story, though. You're going to hear medical diagnoses and medical treatments. This is not medical advice. Please, if you see or feel or have any of the symptoms or experiences that are described on today's story, please consult your professional, your medical professional. And so that's the first intro I've had to do with a disclaimer. Emmilia.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's amazing.
It's time for you to tell us your story, your way.
Yep. All right. So as Jake said, my name is Emmilia. And my book is I Should Be Effing Dead. And I'll get to my book later on, but I'm just going to go straight from the start. So I was born with kidney disease. The moment I entered this world, I was rushed to the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. So I am from Australia. I live in Victoria, or I live in Melbourne in Australia. And they were my first moments on this earth. And we didn't know what was going on. I obviously didn't. I was a newborn. My parents had no idea. They were their first time ever being parents. So not only were they welcoming their first child into the world, but to then have their newborn child rushed to hospital and not knowing what's going on, I'd imagine that would have been pretty traumatic for them. So then after a whole bunch of testing, blood tests, scans, whatnot, it was discovered that I was born with kidney disease. So for anyone that doesn't know what kidney disease is, basically there's chronic and acute kidney disease. Chronic is when your kidney fails over a long period of time and eventually stops working. The acute side is it suddenly fails for whatever reason. So it was discovered that I had chronic kidney disease. By the age of 2 years old, I had my right kidney removed. So again, I don't remember anything. I was 2 years old. And then I pretty much lived most or half my life on one kidney. However, during my childhood, I was in and out of hospital constantly from infections and then having to be on antibiotics through the drip. And pretty much the hospital was my second home. As soon as I spiked a temperature, it was straight to emergency. I reckon there was a time in my life during a child I was there once a month at least. I also had reflux going from my kidney up to my bladder. No, sorry, other way around. I had reflux going from my bladder to my kidney, and that was also damaging it over time. So the thing with kidney disease is it actually is a silent disease. So most people out there don't even know they've got kidney disease until their kidneys probably reach around 15 to 20% function, or they get a blood test and they find out that the kidneys are failing or there's something wrong with them. So as a child, it was quite difficult for me because I did miss out on a lot of things. I wasn't allowed to go on school camps because of the risk of being sick or falling ill. And what was the plan? How was I going to get from a camp to a hospital? I wasn't allowed to go and play contact sport because of the risk of getting hit in the back and injuring that kidney, which would then fail the kidney. I missed out on a lot of things because of my medical diagnosis back then. I also was bullied a lot. So I have a lot of empathy and love to people, I suppose, because I hate bullying so much. And I mean, being bullied really did affect me, and it was something I couldn't help either. So that hit me hard as a child. However, then I started to actually gain resilience from back then. And then I started thinking, no, well, you know what? If you can do it, I can do it too. So instead of sitting out, I would try my best and I would try and do things. And when I was about 7 or so years old, I had enrolled into a dancing and singing school. So I did that until I was about 15 and I loved it. It really brought me out of my shell. I was good at it. I won awards. I loved being on stage. I loved being a performer. I loved dancing and singing and just seeing the joy on people's faces, knowing that they were enjoying my performance really was something that I lived for back then. And that's what I looked forward to as a child. Then we hit my teenage years. And let's be honest, teenage years are, hard enough as it is for anyone, let alone having a chronic illness or medical condition on top of that. So again, I missed out on a lot of things going through that. However, I never, ever, ever let kidney disease define me. I always did as much as I could to the best of my ability. So when I was 15 years old, I got a part-time job like everyone else. I went out with my friends like everyone else. I still did things and still went to school and did everything that any other 15-year-old would do. Then we got the news from my nephrologist, which is a kidney specialist, that my kidney was hovering around the 20-25% mark and that we would have to be looking into a kidney transplant sometime in the future. But they couldn't tell us when this transplant would happen. So now I'm sort of living in, right, I've got this disease. I don't know when I'm up for a transplant, but then I'm in my teenage years trying to figure out my career, plus dealing with being a teenager. And I then just sort of processed it and said, okay, well, I'm just going to have to wait. I've got no choice. The issue was, though, that because of the reflux going from the bladder to the kidney, if we were to do a transplant, I would have those same issues again, and eventually the transplant kidney was going to fail. So we had to fix that first. So this is when I was 17. I had a major 9-hour bladder reconstruction surgery. So they grabbed a bit of my intestine, they opened up my bladder, they made it big and round, they stopped the reflux. It was a very successful surgery, but as a consequence, I had to defer my last year of high school to then finish high school the year later. So that threw another spanner into the works. So I then pretty much had to make all brand new friends when I was 17, turning 18, because all my friends had already left school. I'd just come back from a major surgery that I recovered for almost a year from, but I did it. And I finished my schooling, which I was very proud of. And then I was off to university. So I had this fascination of getting a blood sample from someone and finding out what information I could get from that. And then whether that was either going to ruin or make someone happy. Because, I mean, a blood test does diagnose a lot of things. So if your blood tests are good, then that's going to make you happy. But if you get an abnormal result, then that's going to bring on a lot of stress for people. However, that was my way of wanting to help people and being in the science industry. Then at the age of 21, my kidney was down to 7%. So it was really failing. I lost a lot of weight. I didn't want to eat. I lost my appetite. I slept most of the day. I had no energy. I couldn't do what I was doing. I wasn't independent anymore. I was driving at this stage. So the choice was I had to go on dialysis. So a dialysis machine is basically hooked up to you. Your blood is exited from your body into the machine. It gets all filtered and then back into your body again. So it cleans your blood, exactly like what a kidney would do inside you. So I was on dialysis for about 3 or 4 months. And then I became good again, actually. I responded very well to the treatment. And then I continued uni and continued everything else and continued my life. I was working part-time. I had a boyfriend at the time, which is now my husband. Let me tell you, I didn't think I'd be marrying my husband when I met him at 17, but here we are now, married and happily living life together. So yeah, that was hard again as well, because all my friends were going out and enjoying themselves, and I had this medical condition that I had to deal with. And so again, I got through it and I didn't let it define me and I didn't let it affect me in any way. So then it comes to transplant day, and the lead up to that was funny and unusual, but Dad gave me a kidney. So it was extra special to me because I was getting a part of my dad literally inside of me. And it was funny because when I learned about getting a kidney and learned that he had the same blood group as me, I went up to him and said, "So, Dad, you know how you got two kidneys?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Do you think you could give me one?" And he just laughed and he just said, "Of course, but you better look after it." I said, "Of course, I would never ever not look after something so precious, because essentially a kidney is a gift of life. You're giving someone else their life back, because you can't live on dialysis your whole life." And now I'm a massive advocate for organ donation. And so if anyone is willing out there to be an organ donor, I know in Australia you have to register to become an organ donor, and then you have to let your family and friends know to be an organ donor. I know other countries where you are just automatically put on the organ donation list and you have to opt out of it. I think Australia should do that too secretly, but maybe one day. But you don't realize how many lives you could actually save being an organ donor. And if your values are that you want to be an organ donor, then go for it. I mean, I do understand that some people might not be comfortable with that, and that's okay too. But just having that gift of life and that second chance of life was just amazing. So I'm 21, I've had my kidney transplant, it's worked instantly, and now I'm like, great, I can actually start my life. Like, that is it. I've gone through everything and I can start living my life now and moving on and planning my future. I was so wrong. So wrong. So I was at this point studying my Bachelor of Biomed Science, and I went up to the uni because one of my subjects was microbiology and dealing with live bacteria. And because when you have a kidney transplant, or any transplant really, you are immunocompromised. So your immune system is zero, basically. And I said to him, I can't work with live bacteria. And that wasn't going to be my specialty anyway. So I figured, it would be fine. I could do something alternative that could pass me. Unfortunately, the university didn't comply with that and said there was nothing they could do about it. And so I gave that up pretty quickly. So 10 months post kidney transplant, so we're in March 2015 now, I was going back to the gym because I was put on a steroid that puts on a lot of weight, and I wanted to get fit again. I'd just been through 2 major surgeries in the last few years. So I went back to the gym, and then I developed this knee pain. And I went to emergency a few times and got put on painkillers and said, "You'll be okay." They were doing scans on it. There was nothing wrong with my knee at all. However, it was getting worse and worse. And this knee pain was getting to the point where I couldn't even lay down and go to sleep. I had to sit upright. And then even that was getting too painful. So I went back to emergency, and again, they sent me home with pain relief. And then I had my consult with my kidney doctor. And he said, "Wait, you said that when you lay down it gets worse." And I said, "Well, yeah, it does." And he was like, "Well, that's strange." And he goes, "Do you mind if we do a whole body MRI?" I said, "Well, we can try. I don't think you'll be able to get me in the machine for long because I can't lay down, but I'm willing to give it a go." And so we did that. And then I got a phone call later on that afternoon, and he said, "I've got a room for you at one of the private hospitals. The bed will be ready at 4 o'clock. Go down there and, I'll meet you down there." I said, "Okay, that's strange." But yeah, I did what I did. being a good patient. And so I went down there and he said, look, we're just going to do a whole bunch of testing over the next week. It's going to include some biopsies. It's going to include a bone marrow biopsy. It's going to include a PET scan. And he went through all the tests and I said, yeah, that's fine. Anyway, a week later, he walks in with a hematologist and they look at me and I look at them and I'm sitting in the bed and they've gone, Emmilia, you've been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's large diffuse B-cell lymphoma. And I've just looked at them and then my family's around and they all start bursting out crying and I literally kick them out of the room. I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. We'll deal with emotions later. I need to process this. So I kick them all out of the room and I look straight down at my doctor's eyes and I go, right, what's the treatment? How long is the treatment? How many rounds of treatment do I need? And when will I go into remission? Because my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, has just put a deposit on land and we're building our house and I want to get there. And the doctor just looked at me and goes, okay, and told me everything. And by the next day, I was sent to the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Centre in Melbourne, Victoria. And then I started treatment. So I did 6 rounds of R-CHOP chemotherapy. I responded really well and I was in remission by sort of July, August. And I thought, great, another little hurdle, but it's done. That's it now. Like, now it's my time. So I have my remission scan and everything's all clear. I was riddled. I was stage 3, so I was riddled with cancer. However, there was still some tumours left in the liver. And we thought, well, that's strange because if it was the same tumour, it should be gone. So we biopsied them and they came back as EBV-driven smooth muscle tumours. Now, I know the EBV is the glandular fever virus, and most of the population have, like 95% of the population have it dormant in their system. I didn't know what a smooth muscle tumour was, but apparently chemotherapy wasn't going to work. So we did some pathology testing on it, and we learned that it was a very slow-growing tumour. It wasn't a typical cancer that spreads through the bloodstream, and they're just there, and sometimes they can cause infections, but these hadn't caused anything. So I was like, all right, let's just leave that. Like, we're pretty much just going to leave them and see what happens. So then the following year, I had done some internal radiation on them and got a mixed response. I also then did some immunotherapy as well and got a mixed response. However, they were stable. And in my opinion, or my eyes or whatever, I was happy with just them being stable. So I was happy for them to just live there because, again, I don't let anything define me. Then I was introduced to a medication, and this medication had tumor fighting abilities, but it was also immunosuppressant. So it was a catch-22. So we tried it. I got put on high doses, and turns out that my body then started growing more tumors. So then I found tumors in the side of my neck. There was one in my head, one in my spine, in my neck, one in my lung, one in my groin. They were pretty much everywhere, one in my bladder. So I had developed pneumonia a few times, had that tumor removed. Hasn't come back, which is great. I've also had urosepsis 7 times over the last 10 years. Now, for people that don't know what sepsis is, it's a very, very serious blood infection. So you basically have minutes to get to the hospital if you get sepsis and it enters your bloodstream. That's how quickly your body shuts down. When you get to the hospital, and if you do get to the hospital, they put you in a coma straight away. So my worst sepsis was actually in November 2022. And I'd woken up a Sunday morning and I'd had a busy week and I just thought I was tired, and I thought, well, you know what, I'm just tired and I'll just go back to bed. And then my husband came and checked on me a few hours later, and he said, you don't look very good. I don't feel good either. My temperature was through the roof. I was sweating, but then I was freezing cold, and I couldn't get up. I was half passing out. So we called the ambulance. I got to the hospital. I was in a 7-day coma and also had a cardiac arrest whilst being in the coma. So pretty much got told, not me, but my family and friends pretty much got told to say goodbye. I was done. And my husband actually said, you might, what did he say again? He was something along the lines of, you know the patient, but you don't know Emmilia, and I know that she'll survive. And so here I am surviving. And just to go a few years back from that, I also had a craniotomy, which removed a tumor in my head. So they essentially cut the side of my head open. They removed the tumor 100%. However, my third, fourth nerve was cut, and my eye is now as a result of being closed. That affected me massively. I pretty much didn't go out much at all. I was ashamed of it. I felt different. I felt people were staring at me. I felt that, I felt I needed to cover it. So I was like wearing my hair in front of my face. I even wore like an eye patch, like a makeup remover eye patch once, and just pretended that I had an eye surgery and that it was going to be okay. And I would never ever expose it, and it would never go out. And that was in 2020, smack bang in the middle of COVID too. So I was in hospital with no one, no visitors, not even my husband allowed to come in, alone, looking at the white walls, the white bed, the white linen, the white gown, everything white, does your head in. It literally sends you crazy. And then I had to deal with this eye being shut. And only, I would say, probably the last 6 to 12 months, I've been confident enough to go out in public and actually expose it. And it has been the most liberating thing I've ever done in my whole entire life. Because now I don't have that worry. I don't have that shame. I don't have that thing at the back of my mind going, what are people thinking because I've got one eye? Because I do strongly believe that it's not what you look like at all. It's what's on the inside. And if your personality is great and people love you for your personality, then they're not going to care what you look like on the outside at all. So that was an experience in itself that I had to work through, but I'm so glad I did. And then 3 months later, after the craniotomy, they discovered a tumor in my C5 vertebrae, and my C5 vertebrae was fractured. So I had to have surgery to fuse that. So essentially, they removed the tumors on the sides of my neck first, and then 2 days later, they went into the back and fused from C2 to T1. So I pretty much spent all of 2021 recovering from 2 major surgeries. But again, I'm still here. So they're probably the massive things that have gone wrong in my life. Other little things would be, with the steroid, I'm osteoporosis. I've got factor V Leiden, which is a clotting issue, I suppose, where I'm at a higher risk of being exposed and clotting. I've had a clot in my lung, actually, which had to be treated at one stage in my life. I'm sure there's other little things. So that brings me to my book. And after I had that major incident in November 2022, where I pretty much almost died, for years people used to tell me, you need to write a book, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. And I said, yeah, one day, I don't know, I guess I will. But it was just sort of at the back of my mind. I never thought about it. And then I was actually at my personal training session, and I said to my personal trainer, look, I think I'm going to write a book. And she goes, oh, I know just the person that can help you. I said, really? She goes, yeah. And I go, all right, send me her details and I'll get in contact with her. And as I was finishing my personal training session, my book publisher walked through the doors to do her personal training session. So it was meant to be. And so I actually got to speak to her right on the spot. And I said to her, I'm going to write a book and I want to write a book. And she goes, yep, get on a Zoom call with me tomorrow and then do the seminar on Tuesday next week. And then we can register you and get you into the August retreat. Now, this was in August. The August retreat was less than 2 weeks away. I said, okay, done. So I did all that, had my chapter review session, and then next thing you know, I'm in a 3-day retreat writing a book. So I had it all in my head, had my chapters laid out, and then I'd written probably 60% of my book in 3 days. And then each week after that, I just scheduled stuff in my time to then finish the book. I was also working full time at the stage too, so like 40 hours plus a week. So I don't even know myself how I got it done. Then my publisher said to me, so now you're going to put on Facebook and tell everyone that you're writing a book. And I go, but I haven't even written a word down. And she goes, doesn't matter. You're going to start taking pre-orders now. I was like, what? So I was like, I did it. And I even then put the pressure on myself even more and was like, you know what? It's August. Can I get this book published and delivered to people by Christmas? She goes, if you put the work in, yes. I said, done. Challenge accepted. And that is exactly what I did. I wrote the book and I got it published by the start of December. And all the pre-orders that I had were then distributed, and everyone got their Christmas book of I Should Be Effing Dead. And it was a great feeling. Writing the book for me was very therapeutic because I was essentially dealing with medical issue after medical issue for 10 years. So from 21 to 31, or 20 to 30 basically, or longer than 10 years really, because 17 I had the bladder surgery. So I was in survival mode the whole time. All I wanted to do was just survive. I'm fearful of death. I don't want to die. I don't want to leave this planet. I don't want to leave Earth. I've got so many more bigger and better things to do. So all my focus was, okay, Emmilia, survive. That's what you need to do. And my process has always been analyze the situation, find out all the facts that you can find out at the time, make sure you understand all your appointments and your treatments and whatever you need to do, and then just take it one step at a time and get it done. And that's what I did the whole time. So I think I was running on adrenaline for a good 10 years, to be honest. And then I had to write this book and revisit everything. And everyone used to tell me, you've been through a lot. And I said, oh, not really. Like, there's worse people out there than me. I go, it is what it is, and I've survived. They're like, no, you've been through a lot. I'm like, oh, well, thank you, but yeah, I don't think so. And then when I actually wrote the book, I was like, well, yeah, I just wrote 13 chapters of my life, and yeah, I have been through a lot. So people weren't lying. And I'm actually really glad I wrote the book. And my goal for the book was, if I help a handful of people, I've done my job. And then people started to read my book and they started to contact me and they're like, you need to do more. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I've written a book. What else do you want me to do? And so professional speaking got introduced to me. And I thought, okay, well, I love talking, so that's a tick. I love sharing inspiration to people and inspiring people. I've never played the victim. I don't ever want to play a victim. And the reason why I want to share my story is to give that inspiration to other people, to tell them not to give up, and to be in their corner, basically, someone that they can refer to. Because the one thing that I missed out on was going through this in my 20s. There was no one in my age bracket that I had met that was going through anything similar. Every time I went into hospital, it was full of older people. Every time I had some sort of medical encounter, there was not anyone that was in their 20s. So for me, that's what I want to do now. I'm 32 now, and I'm building a community currently to then be that person, be that mentor for people that can look up to and that they can then refer to and relate to, because the doctor can only tell you so many things about your symptoms and what to expect. But when you go through it, it's a whole different experience. And having someone in your corner is just, whether it's a stranger or not, is just to me, that's really important and amazing. So then I thought, yeah, professional speaking. So I got a couple of gigs and I didn't care about being on stage because I had the dancing and singing background. And I didn't mind being in the spotlight. I didn't mind sharing my story because I'm an open book. And the moment I step off a stage now and people come up to me and they just ask very nicely, can I just say something to you? I'm like, of course. And they just come up to me and say, you have just like changed my view on life, or you have just done this, or you have just done that. And I just look at them and go, thank you. Like, that means the world to me because that's exactly what I want to do for you guys. And there is absolutely no better feeling at all. So then I thought, okay, what else can I do? And so then I started a podcast because, again, I love talking. So I've got my podcast now, and I've got a whole bunch of other stuff in the works that I'm planning on doing, but I'll get to that. Well, I don't even need to get to that. You can probably just look me up. But I suppose another story I could tell you would be, or another thing that I took for granted personally, was the ability to just walk and eat and drink. So a few occasions when I had the neck surgery, and every time I've been in a coma, I think I've been in 3 comas now. I know I've definitely been in 2, maybe 3. Yeah, for the neck surgery, 3 comas, and the neck surgery, I had a breathing tube down my throat. And that essentially makes you lose your voice, and it could damage your vocal cords. It also affects all your muscles around that area. So every time I'd encountered that, I wasn't able to speak and I wasn't able to eat and drink. So I had to drink like a thick water where they thickened it up, or else I would choke. I could only eat pretty much puree stuff or baby food, basically anything blended, and it had to be a certain thickness, again, because it would choke me. And I took that for granted because there was a real possibility at one point where they said your vocal cords could be damaged permanently and you might not get your voice back and you might not be able to fully eat. And they're the 2 things I love the most, is eating and talking. So that for me was really hard to hear. And so what I did was I'm going to improvise now. So I just started talking and talking, even though people couldn't hear me, but I just started trying to talk. And I did have a whisper, but no one could hear me or understand me. And I believe that may have, strengthened the muscles in early on, which then helped me recover. Again, it's not medical advice at all, and I wouldn't recommend you just do that without consulting anyone. But for me, I just wanted to take control and just do something that I could possibly, make it work. And if it worked, great. And it did work for me. So I'm very grateful to have my voice back and the fact that I can eat and drink. Another thing I took for granted was walking. Every time I was in a coma and when I had the neck surgery, I had to pretty much learn to walk again. I lost all my strength, all my muscles. I couldn't even sit up. I couldn't even go from like a laying position to a sitting up position in bed. That's how weak I was, let alone actually stand up and walk. So I had to go through a whole bunch of rehab and walking frames and things like that. So something so simple that you don't have to think about usually, then, is second nature for everyone, gets taken away from you suddenly, you freak out. And then you start to think and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I sort of flip that. I go, well, you know what? There's no point worrying about it because that's not going to achieve anything. What am I going to do now to make it better? So I bring my determination into it. I bring my never giving up. I bring my survival into it. And I remind myself why I'm doing all this. And the last thing I always do when I have, or always did, when I had a major medical diagnosis was I made sure around the time that I was going to be expectant to recover, I had something to look forward to. So whether that was a mini holiday or, a night out with my loved ones or anything, it could be even just having people at your house surrounded on your dinner table. I always had something to look forward to, which kept me motivated. So I'm like, I was here and I want to get over there, but I need to jump all these hurdles to get over there. And that's what kept me motivated to do that. So I've been very, very grateful to not suffer any mental health issues for any of this. And even, I thought my eye was going to be the biggest thing and I wouldn't have caved for that, but I managed to get through that as well. And yeah, like I said, I'm very, very grateful for not having to suffer mental health, because that is a huge thing around the world, I think. And so if I can just do that little bit to give someone, that drive for their day and to get up even just out of bed, and that's me doing my job now, and that's my purpose in life. My purpose in life is to help others and inspire others, and I think I finally found it at the age of 32, so better late than never. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, there is a lot more detail in it, but I could be here for hours and hours and hours talking about it. So that's why I put it in a book. And like I said, I've got a podcast, and I'm very open to messages as well. So I just, if I can just be in people's corner, then that's it. That's what fulfills me, really. So yeah, Jake, I think that's everything that I would like to say about my medical history.
Wow, I've been sitting here in a bit of shock.
Oh yeah, it's a normal reaction. I've had doctors actually say to me, so I had got like my current kidney doctor, which I've had for a while, but when I switched to him, he goes, and when he first met me, he goes, after reading your medical history, he goes, I did not expect you to look so good. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I look good, so thank you. But yeah, it is a lot, and that's a normal reaction. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I believe I went for a reason.
I mean, just from the moment you were born,
Yeah.
and then bang, 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 just the things that happen time and time again.
Yeah.
And there was something you said. Now, actually, before I go to that point, there's a couple of things I want to say.
Yeah.
Your dad.
Yeah.
How's he coping with one kidney?
Oh, excellent. So the beautiful thing about a kidney is that it actually overcompensates. So when I got mine removed when I was 2 years old, my good one overcompensated for that and worked, 90%, 95%. No one is ever 100% kidney function, so don't expect to ever be 100%. So Dad was the same. Yeah, you're taking 50% of his kidney function. And initially, like first couple of months, yes, your body's trying to get used to it and he had to recover and rest and whatever. But 2 months later, he was back to normal, doing everything that he was doing prior to giving the kidney. So that's the beauty of a kidney, is that when you do donate, or if you do give up a kidney or you lose a kidney, for people that have kidney disease, the other one does learn to overcompensate for it.
And does he now misbehave when he knows that you're eating something naughty? Or because you did say that eating is one of your favorite things.
It is.
So
No,
does he say, hey, how's my kidney? I just saw you have
No, it's the opposite, actually. We both love food. The only thing you've got to be careful of is sodium and protein, just because the kidney has to process that. But it's really funny you mentioned that, and I'm glad you mentioned it because the memory came into my head. You actually do get cravings from a donated kidney as well. So Dad loves pizza, sausages, meat pies, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm finding now that I crave meat pies, sausages, and pizza. And I never, ever, ever craved that ever. Like, I liked them, but I wasn't like, oh, I have to have them. And now, I get full cravings for it. So it's true. I thought it was a myth, but no, it's definitely true.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. You could have given me healthy food cravings.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, you also said that you didn't let these things define you. You didn't let your illnesses define you, but how would you define you?
Simply Emmilia. That's it.
It's
That's all I am.
nothing simple about you.
No, I know.
Magnificent Emmilia,
Oh, well, yeah, you could
amazing
definitely
Emmilia,
use that word.
inspirational Emmilia, the miracle that is
Yeah,
Emmilia.
look, when
The
I say I don't let them
miracle.
define me, I'm aware of them. They live next to me, but they will never live in front of me. I'm always the leader.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean when I
Now,
say they don't define me. Like, I don't want to be known as a I don't want to be known as a cancer patient or, I don't want to, no, I'm Amelia. Yes, I've had cancer and I've gone through the treatment, but at the end of the day, I'm still Amelia.
yeah, and this is really important for everybody who's watching to understand that you are not your experiences, and those experiences don't necessarily define you. They develop you, they teach you, they create new solutions and mindset and physical abilities
Oh,
because
even that,
of,
like, I
I
mean,
mean, let's face it, your neck is fused.
yeah, the spine
So
in the back.
yeah. So we're not going to have much movement in that
No, I
area
can't
of
go
your body.
backwards. I can go side to side a little bit and a little bit down, but I can't actually tilt my head backwards. But
Yeah.
again, I deal with it. I've got a different way. If I need to look up, I've gone a different angle. I've gotten married. I've gone on many holidays and overseas holidays too, big ones, like pretty big ones too. And I've traveled, I've done experiences, I've created memories, I've lived life to the fullest, despite all these things that have tried to set me back. So that's another message I suppose that's important for people is don't let these things get you down because
Yeah.
once they're done, they're done. And
So when
then
you've traveled, have you had any problems getting medical insurance?
no,
Getting travel insurance?
no. There are
Wow.
well, there's a couple of companies out there that won't cover me, but you just have to know which ones will. And I
Yeah.
might have to
Okay.
pay, I don't know, $50 or $100 more. Um, but self-explanatory with all my history. So I don't mind. That's just something that I've got to do. But
Exactly.
yeah, there's definitely insurance companies that cover me.
Okay. Now, what would also be one thing that you'd attribute to you being alive today? It's you've faced in a lifetime of challenges to be alive.
Yeah.
I mean, your book title, I Should Be Effing Dead, is so appropriate.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what it is.
it's just,
I should
and
there we go.
this is the crazy thing, is that
Yeah.
many people have one thing and their life ends, and
Yeah.
it's a tragedy. You've had this after this after this after, and you're still here. You are a miracle. So, what would you attribute that to being? To you being alive today? Is it your
I do
tenacity?
have an answer
Is
for
it?
this one. So when I wrote my book, I made up a quote, and the quote is, "Being positive doesn't mean that everything's good. It's the ability to see the good in everything." And I'll back it up with an example. So when I had cancer, I lost all my hair because of the chemotherapy. That again, identity crisis. Oh, I freaked out. My identity, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. And so I was like, how can I take control of this situation? I can't control the treatment. I can't control the cancer, but what can I do within this whole situation? And I said, I'm going to go out and get a wig. And I went a blonde wig. So I've been brown my whole life. And I'm like, stop it. I'm going to go blonde. So I went and purchased a blonde wig. And then I rang up my auntie, who was an old hairdresser, like an ex hairdresser, and she had clippers. And I said, bring your clippers over tonight. We're shaving my head. She goes, are you sure? Like, are you ready? I'm like, yep, we're doing it. And when she shaved everything, I was like, yes, like that's me now. You tried to get me, but now I'm getting you back. I'm not going to have, my hair rip out and deal with all that heartache of losing my hair over a period of time. I'll just get rid of it and go the blonde wig. So I found the good in like that whole situation. That was the good thing I found in that situation.
That's amazing. And did you find there were a few blonde jokes running around?
Yeah, there was. So when I grew my hair back, I actually said to myself, I'm not colouring my hair until I start to go grey. So I put blonde extensions in. So now I'm just confused because I've got both colours.
Now, I've got another. Whilst you say your purpose is to help and inspire others, what's your why? If we could sum it up, what's your why?
So I know what it felt like being alone in those situations, and I don't want anyone to ever feel that. So if they are feeling alone in that situation and they don't have anyone that they can go to, then they know that they can come to me. And whether that is, looking up my social media and just looking and seeing what I'm posting, or, engaging in a podcast episode that might uplift them for that day, or, they can try and message me. I might take a few days to get back to them, but I will try my hardest. And then I am building a community in the future. Like I said, it's not launched yet, but it's coming soon in the next few months. So I will be building a community, and there will be a membership in there that people can join, and then they will get access to me depending on their level of membership and whatnot. So there is plans in the future for them to get direct access to me in moments when they need it. Because that feeling of being alone and dealing with a medical condition is just, I wouldn't wish it on anyone, honestly.
I have also had a medical condition where I had emergency surgery, and it was in a country where I didn't speak the language. And so I know what it's like to be alone, even though I had a person there with me who could translate.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, you go through the procedure alone.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's incredibly scary. So having access to someone is a huge, huge opportunity that will probably be a little overwhelming if you had 100 people messaging you all at the same time going, I'm alone going through something.
So the idea is having this community as well, building a community where other people can connect who are in similar situations as well. And then my biggest picture would be, my biggest dream would be to create an event, a safe space for people physically, starting in Australia and hopefully going worldwide, where people can come to these events and feel safe and feel, whatever they need to do in this space where they can connect with others. And I could be there at that point where they could access me for a certain amount of time. And the membership would have different tiers. So obviously the highest end would have one-on-one access with me, and there would be a wait list if it got, crazy busy. So, so there's just so many different avenues where they could access. And then there's other people that don't want to talk about it, but then they can, read my book, or they can go on the podcast and listen to an episode, or, I've posted a lot of inspirational stuff on my Instagram and my social media and TikTok and whatever. So, I suppose there's the best of both worlds. You can access me if you want, or you can just follow me and, just get inspiration from what I do.
Now,
but
I have one more question.
Yeah.
And it's a very personal question.
Yeah. That's fine.
Now, I had another guest on the show, Kiwan. He was an American veteran who was riding his motorcycle one day. He got knocked off his motorbike and his head was crushed. Oh, wow. He's got metal all through his body.
Yeah.
Basically from head to toe. We had to laugh because I said to him, you must be a nightmare going through TSA. Going through the scanner, it's sort of beep, 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 beep. And he was, all the TSA guys know him now at his local airport. And I said, it's this guy. Okay, they still check him thoroughly. They still go through it.
Oh, yeah.
But when I asked him what got him through, because he had most of it, he had pretty much half his body replaced.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The mechanics of his body, and parts of his head. He said it was his faith. Yeah. And he believed in God, and he had a very strong faith. And so he now goes on the speaking circuit in America, going through all the churches.
Yeah.
Did you have any sort of spiritual faith that helped you? Or was it more a matter of, I'm here in this physical world? Faith actually didn't come into it.
No, so I did. So not in any way of church-wise, but I'm a strong believer of the universe. So I do believe that the universe, or something in the universe, has kept me here. And now I believe it's the purpose that I was talking about before. I mean, people have asked me before, you've gone through all these bad things due to your kidney transplant. Do you regret getting the kidney transplant? And I said, no, not at all. Because if I don't have the kidney transplant, then I could either die, or I wouldn't be able to travel overseas. I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to do that. My life would be very restricting. But then I say to them, I believe that the universe has definitely kept me here for a reason.
Yeah.
And then I found that reason. And now I actually am more spiritual in the fact that if I want something, I put it out there to the universe, and I would say 95% of the time it comes true. And I don't know when it's going to come true, but it comes through. Like, funny story, which is not medical related, but I always said to my husband, so we're massive car fanatics, and in Australia we have the V8 supercars and whatnot, and he's got a V8, and he had one
Ford or Holden.
Ford or Holden. Yeah. It's a V8
Holden.
Or HSV, the special one. Anyway, he was quite young, so he was 23, and I was 21 or 24, something like that. Anyway, in our early 20s. And I said to him, I'm gonna get a V8 one day. He goes, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, I am. He's like, no, you're not. Anyway,
I'm just thinking somebody's saying no to you.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, on my 29th birthday, we went to a luxury car dealership because my car needed an upgrade. And we just went there for a joke, to be honest, because we were like, we're never going to be able to afford any of these luxury cars. But hey, let's just walk in and have a look, because why not? And I found this Mercedes-Benz, which is actually a V8 twin turbo, so it technically is faster than his. Well, we have this argument that we would be similar, but I think mine would be faster. And so I said to him, remember I told you that I'd get a V8 one day? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, what's sitting in the garage now? And that was purely, like, I literally just said to him, I will drive a V8 one day. And then it just so happened that we walked into a luxury car dealership. I was looking at a Kia, which is a Japanese car. So I had no intentions at all on buying this European fancy V8 car, and it was in our price range, and it was a second-hand one, and I thought, hey, why not? And then, so that, like, things like that. Like, I literally just put it out there, and now I've got massive plans, and I've put them all out there, and I'm just going to watch the next 4 or 5 years unfold and see what happens.
Well, on behalf of everyone watching and all of us here at Speakers on Edge, Emmilia, we're going to be able to contact you by people they can come to our Speakers on Edge site.
Yep.
Your beautiful photo will be on the site with a link to your website. Yep. Of course, they can find you on social media as well.
Yep.
And I want to thank you for being so open with your story today. It's
an absolute pleasure.
It's truly been touching. And on behalf of everyone watching, we wish that even more of your dreams come true.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute privilege to be on the show. And I want to thank you for giving me the platform and the opportunity to do this, because I'm so grateful for it. I mean, I do that for other people in my podcast, so to get that in return is just massive to me. So thank you for doing that for me, because that's huge. And
it's been a pleasure, my friend. Absolute pleasure. So that's it for today's episode. Wow, Emmilia, what a story. Thank you so much for being here. Our next episode's coming soon. We'll see you next time on Speakers on Edge.